Grace and peace, family. Grace and peace. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. My hotep. Namaste. Free the land, beloved. Come on in, come on in, come on in. My name is Vicki Dillard, and thank you so much for tuning in to the Vicki Show here on Fly Nubian Queen. I will be very, very, very brief. Beloved, it doesn't look like the notifications have gone out, but at the time that you're watching this, be sure to give us a big thumbs up, would you? And share the broadcast. Thank you so very much. I always say that I believe at the right time, the right people will hear this broadcast, but you can make it more likely that other folks are hearing it, even if they're not being notified, by giving us a big thumbs up and share, 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 share. Now, family, I want to get to where I'm going very quickly based on this most outrageous and ridiculous clip that I just saw of world-renowned linebacker who clearly, I would say, shout out to Deion Sanders. You know, that should be a new contact for Symone Sanders. It's our brother Deion Sanders. If you don't know that joke, maybe somebody can help you later on to explain why she is world-renowned linebacker for doing the unthinkable, putting her life and limb on the line for a white supremacist Joe Biden. Talk black to me when it's completely and totally unnecessary. Family, I saw this brief clip of her and James Clyburn, Congressman James Clyburn, giving an absolutely outrageous defense of Joe Biden's son's drug dilemma, in addition to just defending this white supremacist. And I want you to see the great lengths of understanding, the genuflection, the acrobatics, talk black to me, the karate kicking, the horse stance, talk black to me, that your Democratic shills, the extreme lengths that they will go to defend, uphold, and sustain anti-black systems. Talk black to me. Did you all hear what I just said? I want you all to understand that while we're sitting there saying that we should be on code and that black folks ought to be pushing reparations, you've got black looking people in high places that's working against it to sustain the status quo. And I want you to see how they defend Joe Biden. You all, for those of you that may or may not know, the Republicans want to now impeach Joe Biden. Is connected to he and his son's alleged dealings, specifically his son Hunter Biden's dealings in Ukraine, his business dealings. And of course, I believe that there is enough evidence to show wrongdoing and corruption that Joe Biden was clearly involved in. But it just shows the hypocrisy because, of course, the Republicans were totally against Trump being impeached. And there was, of course, lots of reasons why he deserved to be impeached. None of us is going to sit here and defend, these white supremacists, no matter which side they fall on, Republican or Democrat. But what I find so absolutely outrageous, again, I want you to listen very closely to how your Democrats continue to sell us out. And I want to remind you of a few things. Of course, we're bringing these things up because our goal is to undo this wicked system. We're not going to continue to comply with this system that has failed to produce for us. They want us to continue to be patient with a 400-500-year-old system that has done nothing for black folks in America, but breed benefits for everybody else but us. Feather says, I did not get notification. Katrina says, no notification. I know, family. I know, but we're here. So, family, just hit the thumbs up button, would you? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Share, 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 share. Y'all know how they do sometimes. I'm so sorry. And I think it might be some of the other activity too that's going on the network. So just share the Vicki Show and share with your family, your friends, your loved ones, and let everybody know that we are here. And I always say at the right time, the right people will hear and see this broadcast. Y'all are so sweet. Thank you so much. Now let's get to where we're going. Of course, this is under the Copyright Act of 1976. I want you to watch this brief clip of her and Representative James Clyburn.
Speaker McCarthy also authorized an impeachment inquiry into President Biden, with zero evidence of any crimes committed. The president, I should note, responded to a question about the inquiry today for a first time, jokingly wishing Republicans, quote, lots of luck. Semaphore is reporting that Minority Leader Jeffries is actually enlisting some Democrats behind the scenes to have a meeting on Tuesday to strategize a response. Will you be at this meeting, and what is on the agenda? Because I know even if you're not there, you know what's going on.
Y'all see how Symone?
Well, I would not be in the meeting. I think he'll be huddling with both.
Y'all see how Symone and James Clyburn wearing the same funny looking purple? Biscuits wear uniforms. Today, you understand? How many of you all know that when you go into certain companies and stuff, it's not unusual to see somebody wearing a uniform? That lets you know what team they're on, right? They staff, they work there. That's a sign for us right there. I digress. I'm just saying, that's just something to pay attention to. They let you know that they are on the anti-Black Democratic Shield, Black-looking team. Did y'all hear what I just said?
His fellow impeachment managers. As you know, there were 2 impeachments, and we had 2 sets of Democratic managers. They are very skilled at this. They are experienced at it. And I suspect they are the ones that would be getting together to fashion some kind of response. But I was once again saying to the American people, what are they talking about impeaching President Biden for? Being a father to a son who is having some difficulty. And it's a history that all of us know, the kind of difficulty that's been in every family in America, I would think. Every family that I know has had a family member with certain difficulties similar to this. And this man, this president, is being a father to his son. And they are trying to demonize fatherhood. They can't seem to.
Did you all hear what this wild biscuit just said? Underneath this clip, Symone says that this is one of the most forceful defenses of Joe Biden yet concerning the impending impeachment proceedings. You got your Black bootlicks selling you out so strong, they're sitting up here saying, we don't care about all the politics, the Republican Democrats playing with each other, but I want you to think about what the Black biscuits are doing. The man who is responsible, the architect of the modern anti-Black new Jim Crow that's responsible for the separation and the destruction and the death and the murder and the new crimes that they created to trap Black folks into. Joe Biden said Black folks that are doing drugs, he said we need to put them in cages. We need to put them behind bars, in other words. He says we need to get them off the streets. He intimated that we were animals. I said he intimated that our men were animals and that they were getting ready to come ravish their very white women. Joe Biden said for Black folks who were caught up in America's intentional drug war to flood their communities with drugs and to lock them up and to create crimes and laws to destroy Black families, Joe Biden said throw them away. Black folks are sitting there defending his crackhead son now and saying that the woes of Joe Biden is because being a father.
Man, this president is being a father to his son, and they are trying to demonize fatherhood. They can't seem to be comfortable with the things that make this country great. Family is very important to this country, and Joe Biden is being the head of his family.
Wow. Family If Jim Crow, James Clyburn, you all know he's the other side of Jim Crow. I said he's the other side of Jim Crow, James Clyburn. That level of creativity and defense of an arch white supremacist, but they can't find a way to defend reparations. They can't find a way to get anything substantively passed. They distance themselves from us. They're hostile to us. They attack us. MSNBC, the very network MSNBC, literally called out Black folks in alternative media for their audience not to listen to. They mocked us. They dogged us. But they find a way to defend the indefensible. They continue to sell us out because they ignore our issues, they ignore our demands, and they bend over backwards to defend the indefensible. Family, where does James Clyburn stand on reparations? Can somebody tell me? Everybody, as you come in, please hit that thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Share, share, share. I know the notifications didn't go out. A lot of people are complaining. But family, I always say at the right time, the right people will hear the broadcast. I won't get into all that. I'm going to get to where I'm going as quickly as possible. Where does James Clyburn stand, family, on reparations? Do you know? That's right, Katrina. No reparations. This piece that was written by this blue Telusma, I take the name to mean. Y'all see this? Look how crazy he looked. Just as crazy as he is. Watch this. Congressman James Clyburn, this is from 2019. I want you to, for those of you that are not familiar with his history, Congressman James Clyburn challenges reparations despite 2020 presidential candidates being open to the idea. Look at that headline. What does it say? These are your sellout biscuits. These are your disgusting turncoat, treasonous agents. Don't you ever forget that. Congressman James Clyburn challenges reparations despite 2020 presidential candidates being open to the idea. Isn't he exactly like Stephen in the movie Django? Remember, the most anti-Black in the movie Django at times was Stephen, the butler guy. He was the one that tipped off the slave master to the scheme to release the sister that was in the movie. It was him that tipped him off. It was him that was willing to die for his master. It was him that was screaming and hollering when his slave master was shot. That is exactly James Clyburn. He is the embodiment of that. That's why I tell you that division must first happen within our ranks before we can even effectively start dealing with our open enemy. Because every time we start to deal with them as the target, you got some funny looking Black person that jumps in the way of the target. And how many of you all know that if you are looking, and I'm speaking politically when I'm talking about targets, just to be clear, how many of you all know that if you are aiming for a political target to expose them in politics, to challenge them, to challenge the system, if somebody jumps in front of the target, who gets hit first? Hey, Sister Geneva. Everybody hit that thumbs up button. Share, share, share. I know the notifications didn't go out, but thank you so much for sharing. Watch this. It says, in the wake of at least a few 2020 presidential candidates coming forward in support of using reparations to lessen racial inequality. Somebody say that was all us. We gave that momentum during the 2020 elections. But look who stood in the way of it, even when presidential candidates were open to it. Who stood in the way? This disgusting biscuit. Let me read it again. In the wake of at least a few 2020 presidential candidates coming forward in support of using reparations to lessen racial inequality, House Majority Whip James Clyburn has pushed back, stating he takes issue with the idea. According to The Hill, Clyburn, a South Carolina Democrat, in South Carolina, y'all need to deal with his funny looking self. And apparently you all are, which is why he was caught up in that gerrymandering scandal. I'll talk about that in a minute. It says Clyburn, who also happens to be the highest ranking African-American congressman, says he thinks, quote, pure reparations would be impossible to implement, and believes that giving any sort of tax incentive to developers who work in low-income neighborhoods is just smoke and mirrors. They keep selling us out. So even though I want to remind you, as this headline states, during the 2020 presidential campaign, the presidential campaign candidates were open to reparations. But James Clyburn, one of the highest ranking Black congressmen, publicly and openly and vehemently opposed it. Do y'all understand that? Once again, a Democrat. So white folks always have these biscuits to hide behind. Talk black to me, somebody. Somebody just said, thank you kindly for waking us up and keeping us informed. Your show is the only show I get real news from. Thank you, precious. I'm sure there are others, but I thank you so much for supporting the Vicki show as well. You must not forget this, family. We got to make these disgusting Democrats pay. And you've got to understand that they are the ones that are standing in the way. And James Clyburn uses his power to influence other congresspersons. Now, that's still no excuse for other congresspeople not pushing back against him. But I'm just saying those that make themselves known as enemies have to be dealt with accordingly. And again, I'm talking about politically, family. I'm reminding you of reasons that you have no business continuing to vote for them. I'm reminding you how they're embedded in the disgusting system that continues to oppress us and give us nothing. Talk black to me, somebody. Now, James Clyburn does what good biscuits always do, and that is save and rescue massa. Whenever we start to effectively chip away at white supremacy, you got the biscuits coming to refurbish it. We done busted up the stairway and they sitting there patching up stuff. They at Lowe's and Home Depot getting supplies to fix stuff. These black traitors. Watch this. How many of you all remember when Joe Biden was running for president, he was losing in major states, right? Important voting blocks. How many of y'all remember that? Guess who came to the rescue? Guess what biscuit got on his horse? His little horsey. Are there any horse emojis in the chat? Guess what biscuit galloped on their little horsey to save massa? Talk black to me, somebody. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Everybody hit that thumbs up button, please. Share, share, share. Guess that's right, Katrina. I see it. Yes, thank you, baby. Y'all put me some ponies in the chat. Galloping, looking funny, looking self. That's exactly what he said, right? That's exactly what they say, Val. We know Joe. Yes, we know Joe. We know Joe is anti-Black. We know Joe is responsible for the untold murders, deaths, and destruction of Black folks. That's the Joe we know. This is what I mean when I say that your Black Democrats don't care about him being a white supremacist, as long as he's a friendly one. And will fetch a biscuit to them every now and then. They just don't like hostile white supremacists. As long as you smile and talk to them sometimes under duress, then you got their vote. Then you got their vote. Who came to the rescue and jumped on his little horsey when Joe Biden was lagging the presidential race? Well, I want to remind you all, James Clyburn was on ABC News. This video is also under Copyright Act of 1976. I want you to watch a little clip of this when James Clyburn is being interviewed on ABC News.
Joining us right now. Most Democrats think you're a kingmaker.
Listen, funny looking self. So James Clyburn that came out, endorsed Joe Biden, but his endorsement impacted quite a bit of the South. They came out and rescued Joe Biden when his campaign was shaken, right? We consider those kind of people traitors. We don't think you're kind. We don't think you're godly. We don't think you're loving. We think you're the enemy, baby. So this video is from 2020, right? ABC News is interviewing him. And just listen, this is all Black biscuits want, is a shout out. This is what I mean when I say a biscuit. Watch how he gonna start the interview with him. Look what he gonna say to tickle James Clyburn's fancy.
Congressman Clyburn, thank you for joining us right now. Most Democrats think you're a kingmaker.
Look how he paused. Most Democrats think you're a kingmaker. He knew that was it. That's white supremacist attaboy. Y'all gotta pay attention. These aren't just funny little things that Vicki's pointing out. Watch this. Watch it again, family. Thumbs up, thumbs up.
Congressman Clyburn, thank you for joining us right now. Most Democrats think you're a kingmaker.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
And are you pretty confident now this is wrapped up for Joe Biden?
He knew he said something right there. That's all Black folks, that's all white folks know to say, and that's all white folks want to hear.
Joining us right now. Most Democrats think you're a kingmaker.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Most Democrats think you're a kingmaker.
Now this is wrapped up for Joe Biden?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Sorry, are you pretty confident now this is wrapped up for Joe Biden?
Oh, yes, I am. I think that Joe Biden has run a great campaign. I think the numbers are coming in very clearly in his favor. I do believe that when things are said and done over the next 24 hours, he will be declared the winner. All of us are looking forward to that.
So don't forget, he's calling him a kingmaker because Representative Clyburn went out there and saved Joe Biden's failing campaign by endorsing him and using his power to get many folks from the South to endorse him. That's why they're calling him a kingmaker. And that's all a house Negro want to hear, is white folks tell them they somebody, right? Now watch this. For using his political power to get Joe Biden elected, he asked him, what does he want from Joe Biden? Does he want anything, right? Stephanopoulos, that's his funny looking name. Watch what he asked James Clyburn here in just a moment. Let me see if I can cue it to that point. It's somewhere about here. Watch this.
First came ashore here, and then we had 244 years of slavery, another 100 years of apartheid. It was not until the 1954 Supreme Court decision this country really came face to face with the things we needed to do to get beyond the racial divide in this country. And we've been doing a very good job of that for a long time.
I want y'all to get ready to listen to what he's getting ready to ask James Clyburn. This was a few years ago. He helped him get elected, right? He used his power. He rallied black folks and other black politicians to get behind Joe Biden. So what do black folks want? See, this is why the older black generation can't stand us. Pay attention to what James Clyburn, I've talked about this many times before. Pay attention to what James Clyburn says.
Then all of a sudden now, we got a president who decided that he wanted to take us back to that period in time that a lot of us would like to get behind us. And I just think and thought at that time and think to this day that Joe Biden has the right background, the right experience to help us continue this pursuit of a more perfect union.
How do you want Joe Biden to pay you back?
Listen.
I'm sorry?
How do you want Joe Biden to pay you back?
It'll pay me back.
Look.
I don't want anything out of this. All I want is a country that my children and grandchildren can be able to develop in.
Did you all hear that? I need y'all to pay attention to his gestures. I need you to pay attention to the force he used in his voice. I want you to look how offended he was. The fact that Stephanopoulos, who is not just some ABC News anchor, Stephanopoulos used to work in the White House. I think it was under Clinton's administration. He's some sort of political advisor, political strategist, or some sort of politico. He knows how politics is supposed to work. I've taught you, and I'm going to read you another quick excerpt from Dr. Claude Anderson. When Claude Anderson, remember we talked about this the other day, Dr. Claude said politics is supposed to be about power. Dr. Claude said politics is about quid pro quo, where one back washes the other, one back scratches the other. Meaning if I give you something, you better give me something back. And that's how business should work too, by the way. If somebody's bringing you glory, bringing you magic, bringing you divine labor, you better make sure you compensate them. Talk black to me. Dr. Claude talks about that. That's a principle that's used in every sphere. That's a divine exchange, right? I want you to watch again how offended he is. When Stephanopoulos asks him,
country. And we've been doing a very good job of that for a long time. But then all of a sudden now, we got a president who decided that he wanted to take us back to that period in time that a lot of us would like to get behind us.
Listen.
And I just think and thought at that time and think to this day that Joe Biden has the right background, the right experience to help us continue this pursuit of a more perfect union.
How do you want Joe Biden to pay you back?
Look, y'all, look.
I'm sorry?
How do you want Joe Biden to pay you back?
It'll pay me back. I don't want anything out of this.
Pay me back. This James Clyburn. See, this is why they can't stand us. This is James Clyburn. How do you want Joe Biden to pay you back from give him all that political power? The power to sign big laws. Pay me back. I don't want nothing. Jenny, did you just hear what Stephanopoulos just asked me? He just asked me, did I want something? This is James Clyburn and every other Negro like him. What I look like wanting something. How dare you ask me, what do I want? What I look like wanting something. I ought to snatch up this microphone and end the interview right now. How dare you? I'm a congressman from South Carolina who cheats my people, who works secretly with the GOP, involved in gerrymandering scandals, and you're going to sit here and ask me, do I want something? We've been in bondage for hundreds of years. We've never asked for nothing. Now you're going to sit here in 2020 with a straight face and ask me, do I want something? What I look like wanting something. Of course, we built this country for nothing. They stole our land, those of us that were black natives, and then they stole us, kidnapped the rest of us from the continent. We didn't get nothing then. What I look like asking for something now, wanting something. Do you think I became a congressman, a powerful congressman, to want something, to get something? Freedom for me. The root word for freedom for me is just to do it all for free. That's James Clyburn. Freedom. I define freedom as just do it all for free. For the oppressor. Talk black to me, somebody. What y'all laughing at? Y'all think I'm kidding? He was even keeled the whole time, wasn't he? He wasn't mad. He wasn't upset. He wasn't screaming. Terrence said, I'm clipping that. You can clip it, baby. As long as they don't misuse it, they don't modify and mess up nothing. You can clip it. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Look at him again. He was cool as a cucumber the whole interview, wasn't he?
Who decided that he wanted to take us back to that period in time that a lot of us would like to get back.
Watch how angry. Do you remember the clip I showed you of Kamala Harris when she was asked about who's the president and about the effectiveness of Joe Biden? And when she felt like that Charlemagne was disrespecting Joe Biden, they get amplified. She started doing the hydraulics with her body, didn't she? She started jumping up and down. Didn't she? She started gyrating. Hydraulicing. Look how offended these biscuits get.
Yes. And I just think and thought at that time and think to this day.
Look at it.
That Joe Biden has the right background, the right experience to help us.
Pay attention. He's even keeled, right? Watch when the question comes. Everything for the change. This interview is at 4 minutes and 13 seconds. So his gestures, his disposition was even. Watch how offended. Watch this.
Continue this pursuit of a perfect union.
How do you want Joe Biden to pay you back?
I'm sorry?
How do you want Joe Biden to pay you back?
It'll pay me back.
Pay me back. Want some? What I look like want some? Want some? He accused me. You accused me of wanting something. That's a political high crimes and misdemeanors. You should have just called me the N-word, Stephanopoulos. You should have just called me the N-word. If you're going to accuse me of wanting something, you might as well call me the N-word. I told you, freedom for me is to do it all for free. We got to throw him away. Somebody put a trash can in the chat. These brands of biscuits have got to go. We have no love, no respect, and God knows we're not trying to reform none of them. How many of you all have been in situations, I don't know whether you're married or your partner or your family, your loved ones or somebody, you in the house and you got something that's kind of broke down, but they always the one that want to fix broke down stuff. Talk black to me. How many of y'all know that's some stuff you can refurbish? That's some stuff that some of y'all just doing too much. God, to try to keep. Bath towel, 16 years old. It's not a bath towel. It's something you use for the floor to help clean. Some stuff you just say, no, we just gotta throw this away, baby. I know you want to keep. We gotta throw this away. Ain't no sense of trying to hold on to this. I'm good at that, baby. I don't believe in the broke down hardly nothing. I don't like when the doors is not acting right. When there's a leak and something, honey, I will call the maintenance folks faster than I can sneeze. Talk black to me. I don't like when my pens don't work. It kind of, you got about 2-3 times to when I'm trying to work right with you. Talk black to me. I'm not going to be doing this the whole time. Frustrating, writing checks. Talk black to me, somebody. Some of y'all know that's some stuff you ain't got no business trying to fix. These things must be thrown away. With your cheap self. That's a poverty mindset too. Some stuff you trying to hold on to knowing darn well you ain't got no business trying to keep that. And plus, what I look like trying to expend energy, trying to save this madness when I can get something new and fluffy. When I come out of the shower, I can feel good. And the towel will actually absorb the water off my body. God, today. I love y'all back. James Clyburn is a throwaway. I've discussed this before. This story has been, nobody's talking about this. This is why I can't respect Symone Sanders. I can't respect Joy Reid. I can't respect anybody in mainstream media. I can't respect anybody in corporate media. Why? Because when I covered this story, very few people did. But enough folks did in alternative media. This is from a few months ago, early 2023. How many of y'all remember I did that when I came? I just barely been back to Fly Nubian Queen here on YouTube. And when I started doing broadcasts here and there, I discussed this. Y'all very black Democrat, James Clyburn. Do y'all see this headline? Everybody, as you come in, please hit that thumbs up button, share. For those of you who are unfamiliar with me, my name is Vicki Dillard. I'm a media personality. I broadcast my messages on multiple platforms. I'm so pleased to be joined with you here today. Beloved, with the Vicki Show, make sure that you come and give us a big thumbs up, share. Of course, some people were complaining that the notifications didn't go out. And of course, I noticed that it did not go out, but that's okay. I always say at the right time, the right people will hear this broadcast. If you engage and if you share it, talk black to me, somebody. Some of you may or may not know, this was released earlier this year, and mainstream media, the Black Caucus and all of them other folks who claim to care about black folks, even your Roland Martins and all this, they buried this reality. What did it say? James Clyburn. How many of you all know everybody has been discussing how the GOP, which stands for Grand Old Party, it's a synonym for the Republican Party. How many of you all know that they've constantly been challenged in court and in the court of public opinion for trying to restrict the black vote by gerrymandering, which basically means that they manipulate the map so they can have greater control over large black enclaves. How many of you all know that's what that's about? That's what gerrymandering means. Well, how many of you all know that's something that we have been going off about with the Republicans and the Republican Party, because they're the ones that are mainly known for intentionally trying to restrict our vote, steal our vote by manipulating the maps, right? Some of you all may or may not have known this. You cannot trust corporate media, mainstream media, and your own people to tell you the truth. But I did. I told you what happened. Earlier this month, a scathing report from ProPublica noted that the apparent betrayal of one of the most trusted and powerful Democratic politicians in America, South Carolina Representative James Clyburn, the so-called kingmaker and assistant House leader, allegedly sold out his state to Republicans to keep his seat. ProPublica claimed Clyburn made a secret deal with the GOP during the redistricting process in 2021 that sapped the strength of the all-important Black vote while making it extremely difficult for Democrats to compete for a congressional seat. Some of you all still may not understand a little bit about what happened there. Watch this. ProPublica reported that Clyburn cut the deal to ensure his seat would remain safe. His staff member was said to have credibly gone over to work with the GOP on his behalf to manipulate the maps with his input. What does that tell you? James Clyburn was bragging because he was considered to be a shoo-in for his reelection, right? And he acted like that he was absolutely untouchable, right? And because he's been in power so long, most people probably thought he was untouchable. But a lot of his constituency had begun to move. How many of you all knew that? And his team feared that his seat might be at risk. So there are clearly some folks maybe in South Carolina that's not about that James Clyburn life. And I need more of my Southern family to continue to rise up and call this mess out. And just because white establishment media, corporate media stop talking about it doesn't mean we will. I don't just do broadcasts for views. The reason why I go back to give you relevant information is because I got to get you to connect the dots and to remember what's relevant when it's time for you to utilize your power. Though the revelation occurred 2 weeks ago, Clyburn has mostly remained mum, but ramblings have led many to wonder when he will explain. As the political writer Isaac Bailey wrote, the NAACP sued over gerrymandered voting. So family, if the NAACP, which allegedly supposed to stand for Black folks, sued over gerrymandering, why are they so quiet about the specific scandal that James Clyburn has clearly been linked to? Because they don't care about your liberation, Black progress, Black empowerment. They're just about maintaining the system. And if it indicts their white supremacist slave master, they're going to be hush, hush. Saunders, Vicki, your nails are so pretty. Thank you, beloved. You know, I got to have some glitter, gold glitter, baby. Look, it almost blends into my phone, the back of my phone, doesn't it? I'm just being a girl right now. Thank you, precious. Watch this. Thumbs up, family. By the way, for those of you that ask, you can still join my metaphysical school at clubvicki.com. That's clubvicki.com. We'll see if we can put it in the chat. Clubvicki.com. Your life will never be the same. This is my spiritual school. If you are interested in more purpose, more power, and more profit in every area of your life, beloved, this is for you. Most people don't understand what our scientists, our scientists today, our quantum physicists today admit what our mystics and our philosophers of old have always known. And that is everything you see came from everything you can't see. So if everything you see came from everything you can't see, in other words, everything you see came from the unseen, energetic, spiritual realm. If everything you see came from everything you can't see, that means that if you spend more time on the unseen or your spiritual life, you can shape your reality more. That's what Club Vicki is about. And that has the potential to affect every area of your life. I put it in the link above, clubvicki.com. Join. It's only $30-some, family. You better get it while you can, because I'm going to be doing other special courses that's separate and aside from that. I'm going to be teaching an elite group that's going to be way more money than this little $39. Because what I give is high quality. I'm 44 years of age. I have not ship-shaped, and I have not been a thorn in the side of the powers that shouldn't be for many years. I have not elevated and ascended to my destiny and purpose in my unique way. For no reason. I paid a price, baby, in doing much testing. So hell to the yeah, Vicki deserves to be properly compensated, because I give you my blood. If you want something you never had, you better do something you never done. Being around the right information changes the season of your life. I heard someone say that before. The information changes the season of your life. One of the ancient mystics said, my people perish for lack of knowledge, not lack of resources, not lack of access, not because of this, that, or the other, but for lack of knowledge. So sometimes you haven't changed because you haven't been in an environment where there's new information that's constantly shaping you. I'm talking about consistently. This is about a lifestyle change. If you're about that life, then Club Vicki is for you. Join today. Watch this. Back to James Clyburn's sellout scandal with gerrymandering. Bailey noted that a 3-judge federal panel called it a racial gerrymander, and the court determined that it was effectively impossible to have moved more than 30,000 Black voters into Clyburn's district without it. I'm going to say that again. This is a scandal of extreme proportions. How many of y'all remember when I exposed Roland Martin? How many of you all know that when the WikiLeaks were released, those documents from WikiLeaks, how many of you all know that emails involving Roland Martin and CNN and Roland secretly working with Hillary Clinton's campaign to secretly give her an advantage during the debate, that came out? I exposed that some years ago, and I continue to expose it because I'm trying to show you how these black bones and biscuits mean you no good. They're fronting, but behind the scenes, they're selling you out, and they're willing to do for white Democrat politicians what they will never do for you. Roland helped to destroy the career of a Black woman by the name of Donna Brazile. She took her hits, but Roland let her take it. And Roland initially lied, according to the report from the Hill that I read to you on multiple occasions, and changed his story. When he realized they had actual emails, he modified his story. This is a similar way that James Clyburn is selling out Black folks, but he's doing it in an even more of a devastating way, because by him remapping, not only did he work with age-old anti-Black enemies that use the political system to gerrymander to stop you from having a voice. Do y'all understand that? When they keep telling you democracy is about casting your vote, but this is about restricting it. So every time you hear James Clyburn talk about civil rights and voting rights, remember, he helped to undermine it to save his own seat, and later on make it very impossible for other folks to effectively, another Democrat seat being effective in that area because of what he did. That lets us know he was losing power even with his own people. Talk Black to me, somebody. Listen, I'm going to read this last part. I'll just say it again. Bailey noted that a 3-judge federal panel called it a racial gerrymander, and the court determined that it was, quote, effectively impossible to have moved more than 30,000 Black voters into Clyburn's district without it. How many of you all are going to email, tag, and contact James Clyburn, the Black Caucus, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and everybody else, your favorite media folks, tag them on this video and ask them, where are their exhaustive reports about holding him accountable for stealing the Black vote and involving himself in this scandal with the Republican Party? Now you all understand why we keep telling you that the Democrats and the Republicans are no different. So yet James Clyburn, you see him sitting up here talking about the Republican Party in public like it is anathema to Black folks, but behind the scenes working with them to save his own seat and to restrict Black voters. Some of you all didn't catch your sister with the curly braids story that I did earlier this year on it. Further, Bailey observed that the court pushed back against some of the NAACP's claims. I'm going to skip past that. Watch this. Watch this. Bailey said this: in a healthy democracy, the people choose their representatives. Increasingly, that's not what's happening in ours. I'm going to say that again. In a healthy democracy, this Bailey guy says the people choose their representatives. Increasingly, that's not what's happening in ours. And I want to keep saying that because I'm trying to let you all know how it's not just the Republicans, it's your Black Democrats who are complicit to save their own behinds. ProPublica reported on a series of meetings between Clyburn and high-ranking Republicans following the release of the 2020 census map. Just giving you a little background. I've already discussed this before, but I'm trying to show you how they continue to sell us out. They noted that the slightest line changes could determine who wins and who holds power. Excuse me. But as the process commenced, they said Clyburn had a problem. Did y'all hear what I just said? Let me clear my throat, family. While I do that, everybody, please hit that thumbs up button. Share, share, share. I beg your pardon. Thank you so much. Where was I? But as the process commenced, this is about Clyburn, they said Clyburn had a problem. His once majority Black district had suffered a daunting exodus of residents since the last count. He wanted his seat to be made as safe as possible. Republicans understood, this is a quote, the powerful Black Democrat could not be ignored. I'm going to say that again. Republicans understood the powerful Black Democrat could not be ignored, even though he came from the opposing party and had no official role in the state level process. Fortunately for them, Clyburn, who's 82, was recently reelected to his 16th term, had long ago made peace with the art of bartering. The resulting map, finalized in January 2022, made Clyburn's lock on power stronger than it might have been otherwise, a reporter said. A House of Representatives seat that Democrats held as recently as 2018 would become even more solid for the incumbent Republican. This came at a cost. Democrats now have virtually no shot of winning any congressional seat in South Carolina other than Clyburn's. Did y'all catch that? The report continued. As others attacked the Republican redistricting as an illegal racial gerrymander, Clyburn said nothing publicly. I talked about this months ago. Clyburn said nothing publicly. He got a lot to say about him being against reparations. He's got a lot to say when it comes down to defending Joe Biden at every turn. But he remained quiet about this. He remained quiet about Black folks' votes being stolen, their power being stolen. His role throughout the redistricting process has remained out of the public view, and he has denied any involvement in state legislative decisions. The report further notes that while it's been clear that the South Carolina congressman has been a key participant in past state redistricting, the extent of his role in the 2021 negotiations has not been previously examined. Longtime Democrat Daniel Frazier said it's troubling. A longtime Democrat voter from Northeast DC. And troubling is putting it mildly. It tells me that any politician can be bought and sold, and it puts my vote in doubt next year. Family, I wanted to remind you of that. Kimberly said, I finally caught Vicki live. Hey, beloved. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Everybody hit that thumbs up button. The notifications didn't go out. Thumbs up, thumbs up. I'm almost finished. But I had to remind you about this scandal. If you're just tuning in, be sure to watch the entire broadcast because you might have missed something very important. But this man, as I started the broadcast, is sitting there defending Joe Biden and his possible corruption with his son, wherever you believe that, whether that you believe that they should do this impeachment or not. And you know the Republicans are devils when it comes down to this kind of stuff too, because I mean, if you don't want Trump impeached, but you want Biden impeached, you all know that that's their hypocrisy there. But my point is to show you the links that MSNBC, Symone Sanders, and James Clyburn will go to, and then I'm giving you receipts to show you the long history of what they do. They genuflex, they do this acrobatics, his political acrobatics to bend over to defend the indefensible, but they are against pro-Black things like reparations, and they're on the record as obstructing and sabotaging it, as I've proved to you today in no limit of time. But what does the great Dr. Claude Anderson, I told you I was going to be quoting from this book more, and I'm reminding you that in chapter 7 on page 185 of his book, Powernomics, Dr. Claude talks about quid pro quo and practicing group politics, right? But on page 206, he says something interesting. Is it 206, the one I was supposed to? I think I put my sticker in the wrong spot. He's talking about reparations here. He says Black Americans are entitled to monetary compensation from the government and private sector for the myriad of losses that Blacks have suffered, especially as a result of their ancestors being denied the fruits of their labor. Similarly, their descendants are due compensation for the compounded and unjust legacies of slavery and Jim Crow and semi-slavery. In terms of benefits to Black America, both integration and affirmative action were dead on arrival. However, the structural inequalities and racial monopolies that should have been eliminated remain active and deleterious. The best recourse for Black America is reparations, and it should be made a national issue. It is no longer simply a subject for parlor room discussions, but an absolute necessity. Let me say that again. But an absolute necessity. It is the most effective mechanism, he says, to deliver long overdue economic justice to Black Americans. On page 207, he says, Black people, victims of the worst Holocaust in history, have not received an apology nor compensation, in part because they failed to mobilize a reparations movement and demand compensation from all nations, governments, wealthy families, churches, and corporations that profited from slavery. Although some may be skeptical, Black Americans will be granted reparations. Somebody say ashe. Somebody put a hammer in the chat. Somebody put a gavel in the chat. The nation has no other choice but to deliver on its long overdue economic justice to Black Americans. It would be an international embarrassment for this country to espouse democratic principles of fairness and justice and to continue holding Black Americans in the economic ditches created by the laws of the nation. Domestically, should this nation continue to avoid its obligations to Black Americans, it is running the risk of alienating its most loyal and patriotic citizen, Black people. So here you got Jim Crow James Clyburn, who's backstabbing, treasonous actions, publicly coming out against reparations, even though, as I showed you in the beginning of the broadcast, many of the 2020 presidential candidates were open to it. He publicly came out against it to give them cover so that they can stop talking about it. I told you, James Clyburn is not somebody that we need to refurbish. He's not somebody we need to talk into nothing. He's somebody we need to throw away. I need some more trash cans in the chat. I gotta go. Watch this entire broadcast. Watch my previous broadcast here. Go to the live and be sure to share it because it's important information in there. And I need you to keep in mind when I'm quoting from Dr. Claude Anderson, who's responsible for running successful national and state campaigns. Dr. Claude Anderson, who's not only an economic genius, but Dr. Claude Anderson, who was appointed by, oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank. What's the president's name? He was appointed by Dr. Claude Anderson. I cannot believe I am drawing a blank. Jimmy Carter, who was appointed by Jimmy Carter to the rank of an assistant secretary in the U.S. Department of Commerce. That's where he worked, family. That was his title. What did he do while he was in that position? He was the executive director of 2 economic development organizations for the city of Florida. Watch this. As the highest ranking Black on the planning committee for the 1988 Democratic Convention, he awarded 37% of the contracts to Blacks, a record that has never been broken. I keep quoting that because he's someone that worked inside of the system, who knew how to work the system. He understood that politics was a game, and he believes in reparations. So he believes in us getting benefits within the system and without. And so do we. It's time for you to take the information I give you to figure out what you can practically do in your own life. Family, when you're listening to me, it's still okay for you to reach out to your representatives to demand the end to these godless wars and tell them that the billions that they sent to Ukraine and everywhere else is our reparations money and we want it back. It's still okay for you to contact them to tell them that the national issue of the day is reparations. Because if we get reparations, that automatically solves a lot of the other problems that are directly and indirectly related to the disparities that Black folks in America experience. And then you figure out locally what you can do to mobilize reparations on a state and a federal level. But in the meantime, unless and until the Democrat Party is determining to platform this as a serious and substantive issue, hell to the no, we don't need to vote in the presidential elections because our abstention is doing something. My name is Vicki Dillard, your sister with the curly braids. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Vicki Show. Be sure to join my spiritual metaphysical school. I didn't say my religious school. My spiritual miracle work and life-changing school at clubvicki.com. The link is above. Beloved, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Vicki X Dillard. Follow me on TikTok at I am Vicki Dillard. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Vicki Dillard or Dillard Vicki. You'll find me there one way or another. Thank you so much. And I also have my own website at VickiPlanet.com. You can find my yummy products and services, VickiPlanet.com. I bow to you. You are my bliss. I can't wait to see you again.